Yo YouTube! This is my video for Friday the 3rd of October. And I've got a few things to tell you about. First of all, I didn't have a job this morning, but I have now picked up a job. It was the first job I've been on, in fact. I'm on my way now to Skegness. It's about an hour and 10 minutes drive away. It's about 38 miles. And I'm picking up a medium wheelbase van job going to Boston, which is 17 miles loaded. And I'm going to get, for that job, £60, £60. So it should be about a 2-hour job, and I'll get £60, which is what I want to earn for 2 hours. So that's a good start to my day. It's not one of my usual starts where I do long jobs, but this week's been a bit bitty, and I'm not, I'm okay with that today. This week it was always going to be a bit hit and miss with jobs and how I was going to go and stuff, because it was so there's so many things going on in the week. My plan for today is to see how it goes. I could end up going to Boston and then think, oh, I'll go home now, but I think that's unlikely because it'll be quite early. But I'm not discounting the fact that I might give up quite early today. I've got quite a lot of homework to do from yesterday's course, which I have to do over the weekend, which I shall try and keep up to date with. If you've been with my journey for a long time, you won't remember this specifically, but at the start of this year I said there were 3 specific biggish things I wanted to achieve this year. One was to get my back operation. 2 was to get onto home dialysis, which I have now done. And back operation will be in November. But my third one, which I didn't tell you about at the time, is happening today. And today I will be officially divorced from my wife, therefore my ex-wife. Now, it's very much amicable. We're very much still friends, and we're very much not sort of bitter about the whole thing. It's just we just came to the end of that period of our lives together. We grew apart and we brought up children, and we're at a point now where we are living our own lives. We'll always have the link to our children, but today, legally, we will be no longer married. So that's my third thing I wanted to achieve this year, and that will be achieved today. To complete that journey, that story, so to say, tomorrow, me and my ex-wife are having a meal together to mark the end of our marriage, because that seemed like the right thing to do. We had a celebration at the start of the marriage, and I think it feels only right for us to mark the end of that. Just been 29 and a half years duration, not the marriage itself, because, well, you know what everyone's been at is. We got married in 1996. I was 25, and 29 and a half years later we've got to the point where we're finally divorced. We've been separated for a while now. We got separated in 2020, so we've been separated for about 5.5 years now, but we were in no rush to go through with the divorce. That just came when things felt right. So yeah, that's the next step in my life's journey. Anyway, I shall let you know how today goes on the road. I've just got myself a second job. I'm quite a long way away from pickup. It's Grantham that I've got to go to. It is 34 miles, 1 hour drive to the pickup. And I'm picking up a small van job going to West Drayton, sort of west of London. 125 miles loaded, and I'm getting £150, 150, which will put me on 210 for the day gross, and so if I end up just doing that and then going home, I'm okay with that. But I'm hoping to get something little heading towards home from West Drayton area. Where I ended up north of Boston after my drop off, which is a place called Sibsey, and there was only one driver close to me. There's a couple of other drivers between me and Grantham. I put on what I thought was a reasonable bid, and I got it. Don't know why I got it. I wasn't particularly close to it. Maybe it's just a Friday afternoon job going to the London area, but I'm okay with that. Alright then, I'm back. I've got half an hour to go before I offload my second job. I'm going to be finished well before 3:30, but I'm not going to hang around. I'm going to just keep driving straight back out of London and hopefully pick up something on the way back. But to be fair, I'm not expecting to get anything. I don't really care if I get anything. It's by no means my highest priority to get a third job of the day. My highest priority is to get away from the pull of London traffic on a Friday, and I'm going to avoid doing the M1 because it's been closed on the opposite carriageway going northwards. It's been closed. There's massive tailbacks, so I'm going to have to try and go around the M25 a bit further, take the A1M up towards the north. Also, I want to just update you. I think I said to you in my last video that I've only got one outstanding invoice, but since then I have chased that, and it is an invoice that is a company that I've now been told has stopped trading, and they've been taken over by another company. I'm sure by the time you get to hear this, the names of those companies will be out in the public open. I rang them yesterday and was told that last Friday is when they ceased trading, and they're going to do something else, not in logistics, this company, but they are honouring the existing invoices. So I was asked to send a email to a new email account on CX, and I'm hopeful that will get paid by them. CX are aware of the situation, so in my mind it seems to be being managed correctly, and I don't have much concern that I'm not going to get paid. It is a reasonable amount. It's £108 the invoice. It's £90 plus VAT, so it's worth me having it and not worth me losing it. That's the only one that's outstanding as of now, and so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it's just one of those things I thought I'd keep track of a bit more closely in my videos. Right, I should probably speak to you in a moment with my stats as I'm driving away from London. This weather, it's been like this all day. Non-stop drizzle, overcast, grey, chilly, very autumnal. So we should get used to this. It will get dark quite soon as well, won't it? I can't think what time it gets dark now, so I'm going to be leaving London at say 3:30, so 6:30 be home roughly, so maybe it'll be dark by then. Maybe, I think it'll be dark mainly because of the weather rather than the actual sun going down. Just no sky whatsoever to let the light through, so yeah, it will be dark, I'm sure. Anyway, I'll speak to you in a moment. It's a bit dark now. I've got about an hour to go before I get home. The time now is 7:15. I got stuck for around about an hour or so on the M25 coming past Heathrow. There was an accident sort of around about Watford area, and it's made to get through that. I did avoid the M1, but there was again congestion and a road closed on the A1M. I had to go around the detour. So a bit later than I thought it was going to be, but I'm nearly home now, or at least an hour away. And here are my stats for today. And and the week. So I've just filled it with fuel, so my new average fuel price for this week is 13.62 pence per mile. My current fuel card is charging me 115.88 pence per litre, and next week it's a penny less. But my other fuel card, which has been a lot more expensive, been sort of 117, next week is 106. So I'm going to have significantly cheaper fuel next week with my second fuel card. So hopefully that will feed through with my average fuel price for next week. Today I've driven a total of 348 miles, 348. I will have worked for 10 and a half hours by the time I get home. I've managed to earn from 2 CX jobs £210, 210. My fuel for today comes to £47.40. So I'll round that down to 47, which means that my net earnings today comes to £163.163. Right, my weekly stats then for 4 days work this week. I had Monday off and had a bitty sort of week all in all. So have I made any money? Well, I've just come up with business costs. So over 4 days I have driven a total of 1,131 miles. 1131. I've worked for 32 and 3/4 hours. I've earned a gross amount of £644, and my fuel for this week comes to £156.156, which means that my net earnings this week, after taking into account fuel, comes to £489. That's an average per day of £122, an average daily net amount over the 4 days. And my average pence earned per mile driven for the week is 43.27. And if I take off my £315 per week to cover my business costs, that gives me a difference of £174.174 as being my earnings for the week that car was closed. And I wanted to sort of just clarify slightly that figure, or some of those figures, because I choose to do quite a lot of figures in my videos. I have to make some sort of decision as to what's relevant and what's not relevant. And I decided at the start that for me, what's relevant was a certain amount after fuel per day as an average, and that led to a certain amount of income per week was what I was looking for. But then I realised that's a bit misleading because I'm not including my business costs, my fixed business costs. And I wanted it to be a bit more realistic about what you actually earn as an income from doing this job, rather than just the turnover. And so a few months ago I started putting into my figures £315 at the end of the week, taking it off my results to cover my business costs. I realise it's a little bit misleading now, because my £315 includes £300 per month nominally assigned to replacing my van. And as I've said many times, I'm actually not quite at a point yet where I'm actually saving that money. So although I've made £174 income nominally this week, effectively the portion of that goes towards
my next van, I'm spending it as my income. But if you've got any sense of financial awareness, that will make sense to you as to why I'm presenting it the way I am. And if it doesn't make sense to you, I can't make it any simpler. You have to either decide what's important for you. What figures do you need to know for you to decide whether this is a job for you or not? And these are the figures that I need to know for myself. And there are other people that wouldn't bother with fuel, that would guess it. I've seen people just fill up their van and say, well, that's my fuel for the week. I personally think that's very inaccurate. I've seen people sort of get their tyres changed and say, oh, I'll leave that to the end of the month before I count for that. I don't understand that either. Because you don't change your tyres every month or every week. Once or twice a year you change your tyres. So you can't, if you put them into some sort of calculation when you spend them, it's going to distort your spending for that week or that month. So I much prefer to look at things averaged out over the course of a year than average them down to a weekly amount, which is why I got the £315. But it doesn't mean that I'm actually spending £315 every week on my business. I'm not. Because some of that figure is towards tax, some of it's towards repairs that are going to happen in the future. But I can't really do it any better. I can't do it any more clearly than I've done it. I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thank you for listening. I hope that you are all being successful. Have you chosen to find that word for yourselves? I haven't got a job booked in for Monday yet. Next week I'm going to be booking a full week, try and get a full week's work in. The following week I'm going to have a much more part-time week. So I want to make up some money next week. So I shall see you Monday at some point. Farewell, friends.